So we'll now hear more about the situation in Cambodia, and it's my pleasure to introduce Sochua, who's a Cambodian politician and human rights activist. She formed the first women's organization in Cambodia called Khmer in 1989, and later became Minister of Women's and Veterans Affairs, a member of parliament, and vice president of the Cambodia National Rescue Party until it was dissolved in 2017. She's continued to work to stop human trafficking, domestic violence, and worker exploitation. In September 2023, she co-founded the Khmer Movement for Democracy with the aim of promoting democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. So, Sochua, it's really a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and good evening to you all. I am speaking from Providence, so it's almost 10 p.m., but I feel very fortunate to be part of this webinar. It is extremely important that we start with this webinar and that we don't stop here. It needs to go on much further than this. When I read the report by the U.S. Institute of Peace in May of this year, I was so relieved that there is such a report. Why? Because the Khmer Movement for Democracy, we operate from outside of Cambodia because that is safer. It's much safer. The regime cannot dissolve us. The regime cannot put us in jail. The regime cannot prosecute us. It is important that we take this report from USIP seriously, and the comments that we're making at this webinar make it so that it goes way up to the policymakers, way up to the lawmakers of all countries. I want to go back a bit farther than this. Andrew, you mentioned that I was Minister for Women's Affairs. Yes, I was from 1998 to 2004. When I was minister, then the Ministry for Women's Affairs championed. Our work was really on human trafficking, going after the traffickers, after saving the victims, the survivors, providing the survivors who are young women, who are even children. You know that at that time, yes, it was human trafficking, and we went to. Well, it was a smaller scale. It was around Cambodia, maybe to Vietnam, to Thailand. It was just around these three countries. Of course, Cambodia was the supply force country, and the targets were the poorest of the poor, the families who could not afford anything and had to sell their young children, especially the girls. Today is different. We're talking about cyber slavery in Southeast Asia. And according to the 2023 UN Office of Drugs and Crime, it may constitute the cyber slavery that we're talking about, that is in the report of USIP. It may constitute one of the largest coordinated trafficking in person operation in history. So we're talking about organized crime. We're talking about operations. So in Cambodia, I want to talk about three levels. One, what does it mean to us as Cambodians, as Khmer, the Khmer people, the everyday life of our people affected by the cyber slavery? And then I want to talk about the political and human rights situation in Cambodia that contributes to this expansion of this and protection of the cybercrime. And I want to talk about how to deal with it, that I don't think it is well covered in the report because it has to go way up, not way down. To Cambodia, to the Cambodian people, the Khmer people, Sihanoukville, the Koh Kong, these provinces are the most beautiful provinces along the coast. When I was a child growing up in Cambodia, and when I was a mother taking my children to the sea resort of Sihanoukville, it was really the place for family. It was a place where the beautiful sand beaches of Cambodia, it's a pride of our nation, of our country, and everyone could go there. But slowly, Koh Kong and Sihanoukville became it became stranger and stranger. We could no longer recognize our country. And in many places today where these centers are, we don't recognize the country anymore. Why? Because those parts of Cambodia are totally now owned by China. That is the aspect that has not been talked about. Very little on the presence, the military presence, the mafia presence, the crimes from China. It is affecting people. It is affecting the soul, the spirit of a whole nation. We don't recognize Cambodia anymore. I think earlier you mentioned that the Chinese people kidnapping each other on the street of Phnom Penh. We don't recognize Phnom Penh. And the Cambodian police are so afraid of this Chinese mafia because they know that the Chinese mafia don't operate alone. The Chinese mafia, that's the second part of my presentation, the protection of the Chinese mafia. The Chinese mafia is totally protected by the Prime Minister, his father, Hun Sen, who is still the Prime Minister as far as we're concerned, and the Prime Minister, his son. There's no way that cybercrime in Cambodia that generates over $12 billion from Cambodia, that has over 100,000 victims housed in Cambodia in these big casinos, can be undetected without the direct protection, direct involvement of Hun Sen, Hun Manet, and the top leadership of Cambodia. That has to be said, and that has to be clear. It has to be clear. Cambodia, the cybercrime in Cambodia is the fastest. The casinos, these big centers, are actually owned by the Chinese mafia as well as by the tycoons who are Cambodians. These tycoons are senators. Like Senator Lee Yong-pat, he's so well known. It's in your report. It's in the report of the U.S. Trafficking report. The names are there. A senator, and he's not the only one, who is also the treasurer of the Cambodian People's Party, which is the party, the CPP, the regime. Can you imagine? The senator, his name is all over the place. He's not just about this cybercrime. He is all over the place. Money laundering, exploitation of natural resources. He is right next with the Hun family, and he's not alone. And that should be the focus when we talk about intervention. The second part of the protection that I want to talk about is the number of these Chinese mafia that have now obtained Khmer citizenship. these Chinese mafia members of the leaders are Khmer citizens. And just recently, they were arrested in Singapore, not one time, not twice, more than maybe 3 or 4 times in this year alone. And they hold many passports. One of them is Cambodian passport. And they are reported to go back, deported back to Cambodia. How did they get these passports? Through the Ministry of Interior. The Ministry of Interior has different bureaus, and Hun Sen has divided these different bureaus into for the cybercrime into an anti-gambling task force, and the task force is protected. It's all run by high-ranking officials, even the national police, the head of the national police. So it is, if we want to address the issue, we have to go after these high-ranking officials. And then the US and other countries who are inside Cambodia, who is concerned about their security, the security risks of Cambodia as well. It is really time that we have coordinated, targeted sanctions and go after the wealth of Hun Sen, of his cronies, of his family, of his tycoons. And we have tried for years to alert the UK government, because the Deputy Prime Minister, Nyet Savun, is in the UK with his wealth. The nephew of Hun Sen, Hun To, it protects the Chinese mafia. It's all there. It's in the report. What are we waiting for? I think it is serious that we dare take a mission that to go up where the real problem is, and to just continue to provide small training to police, to small ranking officials. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So for me, from Cambodia at this point.
Great. Thank you very much for your personal sharing and response to USIP's report.